Hello there, this is DC Wood of the Box of Stuff, presenting a special live-in interview tonight. And my guest at this time is a fantastic author with many novels published to his name. He originally worked in textiles, but he's now a full-time author and publisher, and he's produced several novels over the years, and he's got produced two recently over the last few years. And I'm chatting with him in the studio, and I'm chatting with him from Congleton to Manchester, is it, tonight? Right. Excellent. And Mr. Lionel Ross. So Lionel, thank you very much for taking the time to chat with us this evening. I appreciate it.
Thank you for taking the interest in my books.
No problem at all. Now, first question I must ask. Obviously, you've produced two novels over the last few years. Adolphus and Amelia. Is that how?
Yep.
Pronounce that right?
Amelie.
I apologise.
It's
Amelie.
a French name.
Ah, excellent. So Amelie's the most recent one. And why don't you tell us about that one first?
Yeah, okay. Well, I think I need to tell you about them both together because consequently, I mean, we have to start at the beginning, which is with Adolphus, which is the older book, but it's only older in the sense that it was published last autumn.
Ah.
And whereas Amelie has just been published now. But they tell the story of a family. The reason I did this is because I was getting a lot of people who I know who've read my other books. I mean, I got 6 other books. And people were saying to me, we'd love to know what happens to the family after your story finishes. So I thought to myself, well, really, I mean, I said, I can't do that because we bring them up to date or whatever was the cut-off point, and that's the end of the story. But if I do a trilogy, that way, at least we can give people, and this, do you want me to just tell you a little bit about the story?
Yes, of course, definitely. Okay.
Well, starting with Adolphus. Adolphus starts in Manchester in 1912. There's a family living in North Manchester who are certainly not wealthy. They're modest, but they make a living. And he's actually what they used to call a tallyman. He's a traveling jeweler, the father of the house, and he goes out every day and he sells bits and trinkets and wedding rings and whatever to the miners and the textile workers of Lancashire. Anyway, he's with his family. It's late evening and there's a knock on the door. He opens the door and standing on the door is this very elegantly dressed young man, beautifully turned out with a gold watch chain and all the rest of it as they used to wear in those days. And he asks for Jacob Bergman, who is the father of the house. And Jacob Bergman says, yes, that's me. And the young man flings his arms around him and says, uncle, uncle. So it turns out he's his long lost nephew from Berlin. Apparently Jacob has a brother in Berlin who is actually very wealthy in the shoe business, built up a huge chain of shoe shops. And this is the son. So anyway, the son comes in and introduced to the rest of the family. The daughter of the house is very impressed with him, as well she might be, and him with her. She's a good-looking young girl. And the son of the house is anything but impressed because he's very suspicious of him. And he stays there for 3 months. And during that time, he goes out a lot at night. And eventually the son of the house decides to follow him. And his suspicions are confirmed that he is a German spy. Excellent. He's actually told, he's told the family anyway, he's told his uncle that he is a reserve officer in the Kaiser's army. And so the story goes on from there, and the guy marries the daughter of the house, which puts the son of the house in a very difficult position because he'd been going to say that he didn't trust him and he thinks he's a spy and that he's going to be his future brother-in-law. And that's when the story really starts. Right. And it goes through occupied Belgium during the First World War. It's not a story of blood and gut and trenches. It's a story of more of espionage and interrogation and so on. But
so it's trying to find
the whole thing comes out. So then we move on without telling you any more about the plot of that story, because I'm not about to do. And it moves on until 1922, when the family in Manchester are all back together, including Adolphus, who's come over from Germany after the war. The war's been over now 4 years, with his wife, who is the daughter of the Manchester people. And during the war, Joseph, who was the brother Adolphus, had met a very nice French girl in occupied Belgium. And she turns up on the doorstep in a terrible state. And her name is Amelie. At that point, Adolphus, as a book finishes, most of them have got very tired, got into a tidy situation, but Amelie, there is something strange about what's happened to her. And Amelie, the first 100 pages of the book called Amelie, tell her story. The first 100 pages was all about her and all the terrible things that happened to her. And it then leads on back again to Adolphus and his family, who are in Berlin. They're Jewish, and the Nazis are beginning to flex their muscles, and some awful things are beginning to happen, apart from the terrible instability of the German economy through those years. And this then is the story of the Adolphus family, of the Bergman family, through those years, until 1942, when the war's already started and various things have been happening. Adolphus is no longer in Germany; he's in England now, and at that point we come right up to the happenings of the Second World War. And that's really as much as I can tell you, because otherwise I'm going to ruin the plots.
Well, it's certainly very. It really sounds something to sink one's teeth into. I mean, the intricacies of the plots merging together, the fundamentals of this two-part story sound really something fantastic to indulge in. Particularly trying to find as much hope and happiness in what is one of the most darkest and most sinister times in all of humanity. And it sounds as though you've the traits you used from previous works have carried on and been improved upon for these latest two novels. I mean, I do remember reading this, Men of Conviction, once upon a time.
Yes.
And I really did enjoy this novel so much because it took characters of stereotypes and dealt with a lot of issues that are going on in the current world, and used them to produce something that was very imaginative and intricate and absolutely enthralling. And these books sound the same, definitely.
Thank you very much.
Well, thank you.
Well,
and
you read them, you'll know.
And where can people purchase these books from?
Well, you can order them from Amazon. You can order them from the website, the I2I website, which is www.i publishing, that's i2ipublishing.co.uk, or you can order them in Waterstones bookstores. Just go into Waterstones and say you want to order Adolphus or Amelie, or any of my other books come to that. I've got 6 others.
Fantastic. And obviously we'll be putting a link to the publisher's website and to some of the books available on our own Facebook page, on the YouTube description video as well. And one question I must ask is, obviously you've done a lot of book signings with your books. You've done signings at Waterstones in Macclesfield. You've obviously done one at Smith's at the Trafford Centre. Is that right? How many book signings have you done?
Well, on my new book, I've only done 2 so far, because I've only done W.H. Smith in the Trafford Centre, as you say, and I was in Waterstones in Bury on Wednesday, in Bury Lancs, which is part of Greater Manchester, but they don't like to think so. And there I was signing books. I had a very good day there, actually, not only with Amelie, and Adolphus was a front runner, and also some of my other books sold very nicely. So it was a very good day. This was only yesterday, actually.
Oh, brilliant. And it's going well so far, the sales of both the books?
Yes, very, very nicely. All my books also are on Kindle.
Oh, good. Excellent.
On ebooks. I mean, everything we do is on Kindle. And as I think you know, I'm a publisher. Otherwise, I'd probably get more books.
Sorry about that. Bit of a technical difficulty there. Are you right there, Lionel? Can you hear me?
Does tend to, yeah.
Oh, good. Yeah, bit of technical difficulties there. I do apologise. Right, we'll quickly wrap this up now. What advice would you give to aspiring authors, aspiring writers out there who are trying to get their own work published?
Yeah, well, it's a very hard world getting. I mean, the whole thing is very hard. There's no point in saying it isn't. I mean, writing a book is hard work, but very rewarding. Once you've got the book, and you have to then look for a publisher. In my experience, you're best to look for a smaller publisher, such as ourselves, such as I2I Publishing, because you will get a sympathetic hearing. If you go to the big boys, they'll simply say, they'll send it back again and say it's not suitable for our list and all this sort of nonsense. I know that Jeffrey Archer had 30 odd refusals before he managed to get his first book published.
Wow.
And I mean, when I started, my first book I wrote was Fine Feathers. And I found a publisher in America for that book. And that didn't work out well because their distribution in the UK was non-existent. I finished off buying my own book from Amazon for friends and family, which is absolutely absurd. There you go.
Well,
but anyway, advice generally, look for small publishers who will be sympathetic and look after you well, but do be careful because there are people out there they call vanity publishers.
Vanity publishers, yeah.
And they will take thousands and thousands, well, they will if you give them the chance and if you can afford it.
I know.
They'll take huge sums of money from you for publishing your book. And they're really preying on people who are desperate to get their books published. My second book, actually, unwittingly, I offered to a vanity publisher, and I was told, "Oh yes, we'd like to publish this. We'll give you 50 hard copies to start you off, and £9,000."
Yeah, I know.
£9,000.
I know, it's outrageous, isn't it? I mean, I've been caught out with vanity publishers myself in the past. I mean, I didn't sign anything, but I was aware of the dangers, and there are publishers out there who are more interested in helping themselves when they're helping out you, and of course you've got to be wary of those. And J.K. Rowling was also in the same situation as Jeffrey Archer. I mean, Harry Potter got rejected so many times before she was finally able to secure a deal. But it just goes to show what you show as well, that hard work and perseverance does pay off. And now you've got a successful writing career as well. And where do you see it? Where do you see it going ultimately? More books and things like that.
Well, more books. I mean, I've got to write the third book of this trilogy, which goes from 1942 to the present day. And that actually I've started, but I've only done a few pages so far.
Brilliant.
But I mean, I only just got this published a month ago, Amelie. So it's not a month, actually. It's about a week or two. So I've got a lot of work to do on the new book. That's called Rudolph when it comes out. That's the third one, and that's the end of the trilogy.
Brilliant.
After that, we'll have to see. I usually think things up fairly easily. I'm lucky that way. And I'm not a spring chicken. I've seen an awful lot in life and a lot of people, a lot of situations that people get into. And all that tends to stick in this old head here. And there you go. So,
well, life lessons that are worthwhile to remember.
Is try and find, going back to what you asked me, try and find a small publisher who will look after you, take a personal interest in what's going on. That is the best way forward.
Fantastic. Thank you very much for your time, Lionel. Much appreciated this evening. And again, to our listeners, we will be putting up links to Lionel's work that can be purchased. Adolphus, Amelie, and his other works off Amazon and on Kindle distributors as well. So check those out. And again, Lionel, thank you very much. And to our listeners, buy these books, check them out. I mean, I recommend Men of Conviction. This was an absolute fantastic book. So check this out to check his other work. And thank you very much, Lionel. Thank you very much for your time.